Call of Duty has always been successful, there's no denying it. If you're a fan of video games, then you've no doubt played at least one Call of Duty game, and if you aren't a fan of video games, then you've at least heard of Call of Duty. Personally for me, I got into the franchise like a lot of people with Call of Duty 4. Something about hopping on that game with friends and playing some multiplayer was just so much fun. The campaign was solid, and overall the game nailed being a shooter. I stuck with Call of Duty through to probably Modern Warfare 3, which is where I jumped off, and I dabbled in the franchise for a few years, and I did play a lot of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 to be fair, but since then I've really just kept away from it. It's not for me, and I know that. But I felt this topic I couldn't not talk about. With what's happening to Call of Duty and even Battlefield in the past few months, I just had to chime in and talk about how Call of Duty has a clear lack of focus. Okay, so let's talk Battle Royale, because every game has Battle Royale now, and I can't say as a fan of video games it improves games. For a start, I'm not a fan of the mode, but that's not really the point. I don't like Fortnite, but the fact that it has Battle Royale isn't a negative, because that's what the game is. The issue with introducing the mode into Call of Duty, however, means that they will remove focus from the core elements of the franchise, such as the removal of single player, and there will be less attention to improving and working on the multiplayer and zombies elements, because they are heavily focusing on this new Battle Royale mode. The main pillars of Call of Duty have always been campaign, co-op, and competitive, with the obvious criticisms aside of loot boxes, reskin multiplayer, bland stories, and the fact that even Treyarch seemed to be milking the zombie storyline, which easily could have ended with Origins. Battle Royale is just the icing on the cake for me that Call of Duty is losing its focus, and instead of trying to better itself as Call of Duty, it's trying to latch on to market trends to prop itself up, as it's no longer the cool kid on the block in video games. This always spells downfall for great franchises. We've seen it happen recently with Assassin's Creed, and you can even see it beginning to happen with things like Battlefield, with them now introducing Battle Royale 2. A large criticism for Call of Duty has always been that the franchise is just a copy and paste after copy and paste, but at least it always had slow improvements. And I mean, Call of Duty is a basic game. There was never really any need for a new Call of Duty game every 5 years like GTA. It's not on the same scale. It's an arcade shooter, and a game every year which was relatively similar made sense. Like sports games, they can get away with yearly releases. Call of Duty always had similar gameplay mechanics with some small changes, and it worked, and with every installment they worked on the core pillars they created ever since World at War, with the campaign, co-op, and competitive. But it seems with Black Ops 4, they are no longer the top dogs of the industry, and they're no longer leading, they're following, and in the process they've lost what little made Call of Duty Call of Duty. Now don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm losing sleep over this. I don't even really play these games, but it's just an interesting talking point to see giants like Activision doing this in the games industry, and it begs the question, will this lead to more shifts in the industry? Less companies making the games they want to make because they want to make them, less focus on passion and creativity and originality, less focus on what makes your franchise, and more focus on what makes your franchise like someone else's franchise. Where will Call of Duty go next year when Battle Royale isn't popular anymore? What about when the cool thing isn't competitive shooters? Where will games like Assassin's Creed go when people no longer want to play oversaturated action RPGs? To me, it seems they'll continue to follow the trends and follow the crowd, and they'll continue down a rabbit hole in which they lose what makes them unique just to follow what others do, and their focus will be entirely lost. And I think that's one of the main reasons I decided to make this relatively short video, to just get the discussion going. Games were always original and made out of a passion, but it seems big games in this day and age are just trying to latch onto trends. In the words of Patrice Désilets, the original man behind Assassin's Creed, in an interview with Luma, companies like Ubisoft, and this can be applied to Activision, like to latch on to buzzwords because that's the cool thing in games these days, and that's what will make them money. And I agree, and this is what contributes to the lack of focus in titles like Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which has become a watered down version of its former self and is no longer leading and innovating in the multiplayer market, and is instead following what others do because it's easier and because it makes money in the short term. But it isn't great for franchises in the long term, and rather than making a name for itself, it'll become that franchise that copies everyone else. And who knows where that will take once great franchises like Call of Duty, Battlefield, Assassin's Creed, and plenty more in the coming years. Thanks for watching this short video. I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. I was writing this and I realized that everything I had to say was pretty concise and to the point, and I almost considered scrapping it, but then I thought, well, I might as well put it out anyways just to get that discussion going, because, I mean, why not? It's interesting, I guess, right? Anyways, thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. Remember, Patreon's in the description if you want to support me further, plus get exclusive content. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments what you think about this topic, because really, this was to just get a discussion going more than to argue a point. Like, this was less of an essay, more of the start of a discussion. So that can go in the comments. Let's get discussing. What do you guys think? You know, let's try and have a civil discussion about video games, as if that's possible. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to suggest topics. Would appreciate it. Also, follow me on Twitter. That'd be cool as well. Let's get to 4,000 followers. I'd appreciate it. Anyways, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.